What if a rugged touring car from 1914, used in the dusty front lines of America's first motorized assault, was the beginning of a century-long obsession with power? And what if that obsession now looks like a 1,000 horsepower electric charger silently shredding asphalt in 2040? This is the Dodge car evolution. Origins of a Revolution, 1914 to 1927. It begins before the name is on a hood. In the early 1900s, Horace and John Dodge were the wizards behind the curtain in Detroit, machining parts and assemblies for the fast-rising Ford Motor Company. But in 1914, they decided to stamp their own name in steel. Their first car, the Dodge Brothers 30 to 35 and Model 30, is rugged, modern, and proudly all steel, at a time when much of the industry still uses wood. Within months, the country notices. Within years, it's legend. Soldiers notice too. In 1916, when America pursued Pancho Villa across the harsh borderlands, young officers rode in Dodge touring cars, and Lieutenant George S. Patton led what's often cited as America's first motorized attack with 3 Dodge cars bristling with machine guns. The brand's identity, tough, useful, unafraid, arrives fully formed, not on a showroom floor, but in dust and danger. Then a twist that would break many companies. Both Dodge brothers died in 1920, just months apart, yet the cars kept selling, the trucks kept hauling, and the name kept growing. In 1925, the families sold the company to investment firm Dillon, Red & Company. By 1928, Walter P. Chrysler stepped in, buying Dodge and folding it into his fast-growing empire. Overnight, the new Chrysler Corporation gained not just factories and dealers, but a middle-market brand with a fierce reputation. That deal would set Dodge's trajectory for the rest of the 20th century, a crucial pillar in a 3-brand strategy. Plymouth for entry-level buyers, Dodge in the middle, Chrysler upmarket. Together they would move in lockstep through economic booms, devastating busts, and the first great age of American mass mobility. But no one in 1928 could have predicted that Dodge's greatest challenges and its boldest reinventions were still decades away. The war years and the Power Wagon legacy, 1928 to 1952. The 1930s pulled Dodge in 2 directions at once: stylish passenger cars on one side, hard-nosed work machines on the other. If the civilian story is style, the military story is muscle. The war years would make that crystal clear. When World War II arrived, Dodge shifted from chrome to olive drab, building staff cars and the famous WC series trucks that helped carry the Allied load. In 1946, it channeled that experience into the civilian Power Wagon, square-jawed, near indestructible, and instantly iconic. If you ever wondered where Dodge's do real work DNA came from, you can trace a thick, unbroken line straight through those years in that truck. But as America rolled into the post-war boom, Dodge was about to discover that peacetime competition could be just as fierce as anything it faced on the battlefield. The first Hemi era and forward-look styling, 1953 to 1959. Post-war America wants height, color, and speed. Dodge obliges with confident grills and streamlined bodies, but the real revolution is under the hood. In 1953, Dodge introduced its first modern overhead valve V8 with hemispherical combustion chambers, the Red Ram Hemi. Compact in size and big in output, it puts Dodge squarely in the horsepower conversation and sparks a technical lineage car enthusiasts still debate at midnight. By 1957, the company's styling leapt into the future with Virgil Exner's forward look. Low, long, and lithe, with torsion bar front suspension that helps Mopar cars ride and handle better than their size suggests. Tail fins aren't just fashion here, they're attitude. But what Dodge was about to unleash in the next decade wouldn't just be about style or engineering. It would ignite a horsepower war that would define an entire generation of American muscle. The golden age of muscle, 1960 to 1974. The 1960s are Dodge's teenage years, rebellious, competitive, and fast. There's the compact, feisty Dart, the midsize Coronet, and the wilder Super Bee. And then, in 1966, the first-gen Charger, fastback roofline, full-width tail lamp, and a cockpit that looks ready for takeoff. Most of all, there's the second-generation 426 Hemi, born a racing weapon in 1964 and released to the public for 1966. If the Red Ram introduced Dodge to hemispherical glory, the street Hemi makes it immortal. In NASCAR and on the drag strip, Hemis terrorize leaderboards. On the street, they terrorize tires. 2 years later, the Coke Bottle 68 Charger lands a starring role in a San Francisco car chase and etches its exhaust note into movie history. And in 1969, Dodge built an aerodynamic moonshot, the Charger Daytona with a wind-piercing nose cone and sky-high wing, created to beat in the ovals. The result? The first NASCAR legal stock car to break 200 miles per hour, and the definitive proof that Dodge will go to absurd lengths for speed. By 1970, Dodge dropped the Challenger into the pony car brawl an E-body twin to Plymouth's Cuda, with everything from a brisk 340 to the big block 440 and the almighty Hemi. The Challenger TA homologates Dodge into Trans Am road racing, while showroom cars flaunt wild colors, pistol grip shifters, and billboard stripes. But clouds gather, insurance rates spike, emissions rules tighten, and the oil crisis hammers big power. Dodge pivots. The 1976 Aspen aims for clean, modern family transport. The compact Omni 024 and sports-tuned Charger variants attempt to keep fun alive in a frugal age. The minivan breakthrough and K-car survival, 1975 to 1989. When Chrysler's back was against the wall in the early 1980s, Dodge embraced a mix of pure pragmatism and daring innovation that would rewrite its future. The answer came in the form of the humble yet revolutionary K-car platform, and for 1984, a radical new body style, the Dodge Caravan. This wasn't just another car, it was the birth of the modern minivan, a vehicle that made family hauling easier, more efficient, and surprisingly stylish. The Caravan redefined how families traveled, but Dodge wasn't done yet. Behind the scenes, something far more venomous was taking shape. It was as consequential to Dodge's identity as the legendary Hemi engine, only this time it wasn't about raw power but about reimagining practicality. While the Caravan was busy saving households and reshaping suburban driveways, Dodge wasn't done. Behind the scenes, the brand was also working on something that would reignite the passion of drivers who longed for roaring V8s and unapologetic muscle. Viper Venom and Ram Power, 1990 to 2008. The concept debuted in 1989, the production car landed in 1992. It's called Viper, and it is a brutal, analog antithesis to safety beeping modernity. Long hood, side pipes, a 400-horse V10, no roof at first, and hardly any apologies. The Viper turns Dodge from minivans and memories back into a performance protagonist, wins on racetracks, and evolves into outrageous GTS coupes and ACRs. Meanwhile, in 1994, Dodge restyles its big pickup into the big rig Ram, bold grille, macho stance, an unapologetic truck aesthetic that ignites a sales bonfire and redefines full-size pickup design for everyone else. The brand's heartbeat is suddenly loud in two registers: venomous sports car and work boot truck. Muscle renaissance in the Hellcat era, 2009 to 2023. The 2000s bring another twist. In 2009, amid a global financial storm, Chrysler reorganized, and Ram became a standalone truck brand. Dodge doubles down on cars and performance and prepares to resurrect storied nameplates for a new era. In 2006, it brought back the Charger, this time as a four-door muscle sedan. In 2008, it resurrected the Challenger, faithful to the 1970s proportions but with modern safety and comfort. Muscle was back, but Dodge was about to turn the volume way up. Then the supercharger era hits. For 2015, Dodge unveils the SRT Hellcat, 707 horsepower from a factory warranty, first in Challenger and then Charger, followed by wide bodies, jailbreaks, and ever wilder factory specials. In 2018, the Demon arrives optimized for the strip with trans-brake trickery, drag radials, and an astonishing 840 horsepower on race fuel. And in 2023, on the cusp of an electric pivot, Dodge fires one last nitromethane-scented flare into the night, the Challenger SRT Demon 170, swinging for an outrageous 1,025 horsepower on E85, production car records falling like cones in its wake. Stellantis era and the electric pivot, 2021 to 2025. But the ground under every automaker is shifting. In January 2021, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles merged with France's PSA Group to create Stellantis, one of the world's largest automakers, pooling technology for an electric future while managing the soul of 14 brands. For Dodge, that means access to new EV platforms and software, and a mandate to carry performance into a world where silence can be faster than thunder. Nah. So how do you build an electric Dodge that still feels like a Dodge? The answer shows up in 2023 and 2024 as a promise, and then a product. Dodge unveils the next-gen Charger Daytona, an all-electric coupe, and soon after a four-door, styled with 1970 shoulders and 2030 surfaces. Engineers obsess over the challenge of translating visceral drama into a battery electric package. The result? Purpose-built EV architecture, performance that puts yesterday's heroes in the crosshairs, and a design that reads instantly as Charger. In 2024 and into 2025, Dodge refines the plan with a dual-path lineup, high-output electric Charger Daytona models and Hurricane-powered gasoline variants using Stellantis' new twin-turbo inline-six. In plain English, the brand will sell you Silent Lightning or Turbo Howl, but either way, it stays in character, fast, brash, emotional. The DNA of Dodge, 1914 to 2025. Of course, Dodge has never been just one thing. It's also the small car experiments of the 1980s and 1990s, from hot neon ACRs dancing through SCCA autocrosses to stealthy turbo-tuned cars that punched far above their curb weights. It's the Magnum wagon briefly turning school runs into sleeper car sightings. It's the Caliber SRT4, rowdy, imperfect, and endearing, and the journey quietly raises families while the spotlight finds the Hellcats. It's the brand's modern pivot to the entry performance Hornet Compact, blending daily practicality with genuine punch. Every era leaves fingerprints, and Dodge, more than most, wears its scars proudly. The longer arc, though, is about a personality that refuses to be tamed by circumstance. In the 1910s, its durability under fire. In the 1950s, its exuberant style and the first wave of Hemi 5.8 swagger. In the 1960s, it's an obsession with winning. On ovals, drag strips, and Saturday night boulevards. In the 1980s, it's ingenuity under financial pressure. In the 1990s and 2000s, it's the rebirth of brawn through Viper and Ram. In the 2010s, it's the audacity of factory drag cars running numbers once reserved for folklore. And in the 2020s, it's the creative tension of translating all of that into electrons without losing the snarl. 5 defining moments. 1916 to 2023. First, 1914 to 1916. A brand new car runs hard enough to earn a uniform's trust. Dodge becomes shorthand for hard service because it earns it on terrain as unforgiving as any test track. Second, 1953 to 1957. Combustion chambers shaped for power and efficiency. Fins and sweeps that thrill the eye. Third, 1966 to 1969. The Hemi goes public. The Charger becomes a myth. And the Daytona redefines racing aero. Fourth, 1984 to 1994. A minivan changes family life, and a truck changes how trucks are sold. Fifth, 2015 to 2023. Dodge builds faster, crazier, and louder in defiance of an era going quieter. Ram and Dodge, brothers in brawn, 1994 to 2009. Threaded through it all is the strange, glorious relationship between Dodge the car brand and Ram the truck brand. They grow up together. In 1994, the Ram pickup exploded into the mainstream with a design that looks like a semi-mated with a muscle car. In 2009, Ram peels off as its own badge. That split frees Dodge to be the corporate hooligan of road-going performance, while Ram becomes the barroom brawler of towing and torque. Both sides win. But could this separation be the very thing that allows Dodge to push its wildest performance limits yet? Looking ahead to 2040, now comes the most delicate handoff Dodge has ever attempted. From sound to speed, from octane to voltage. Backed by Stellantis' platforms, software muscle, and investment in batteries and motors that can survive repeated full-tilt runs, Dodge is engineering EVs that can take abuse without losing their edge. The Charger Daytona leads the charge, honoring history without copying it, delivering power that matches or exceeds past legends, and offering a modular vision with performance trims, over-the-air upgrades, and track-ready durability. For those still loyal to liquid fuel, the new Hurricane Inline 6 keeps combustion alive, lighter, tighter, and more efficient than a V8, while still delivering that signature Dodge impatience off the line. By 2040, expect the Charger family to be a platform, not just a nameplate. Higher output EVs with track-tuned cooling, software-defined handling, brake-by-wire that still feels analog, and factory-blessed upgrades through direct connection to keep the garage culture alive. Because Dodge has never been just a part you bolt on, it's a mood. It's the swagger to design a truck grille like a freight train and watch the industry follow. The audacity to sell a 700-horsepower family sedan in an era of beige. The nerve to say muscle can be silent, that the shove in your spine matters more than the roar in your ears. Picture 2040. A Charger. Daytona, refined by decades of owner telemetry. Its stance pure Dodge. Parked next to a special series Hurricane 6 Bruiser for combustion diehards. Nearby, a smaller, lighter performance Dodge, a spiritual successor to the Neon ACR or Dart Swinger, offers tossable fun to a new generation. Across the way, a direct connection shop hums with EV dynos, selling calibration keys alongside forged parts. That's not compromise, it's continuity. The same brand that hurled a machine gun-mounted touring car down a ranch road because the job demanded it. That shaped air in a wind tunnel until a wing big enough to throw shade finally beat the clock. That put a 10-cylinder snake on the street and a 1,000-horse monster in showrooms. The fuel may change, the thrill won't. If you've ever felt a Dodge in your chest, you already know the answer to the question we opened with. What makes Dodge, Dodge? Everything that came before and everything the brand refuses to leave behind as it sprints into an electric dawn. But here's the real question. When Dodge goes fully electric, will it still feel like Dodge? Or will it feel like something the world's never seen before?